Part 92. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 917. In the Qian family villa, Han Qian grabbed Uncle Zhong's wrist and looked at the cellar in the yard. Many people had been to the cellar, but Han Qian had never entered it. This was Qian Ling's order and Han Qian was not allowed to enter. Uncle Zhong shook his head at Han Qian. "Master, please don't embarrass me. My wife won't let you in." Han Qian let go of Uncle Zhong, and then Suliang spoke. "Uncle Zhong, it seems that Director Qian didn't say I can't go, right?" Uncle Zhong was stunned, then sighed and motioned for Suliang to follow him. Han Qian and Guan Yunbiao walked into the living room. Cai Qinghu and Qin Yazu were sitting in the living room. Cai Qinghu looked serious and had cold eyes. This kind of Cai Qinghu was a bit strange to Han Qian. Han Qian stepped forward and knelt down in front of Cai Qinghu. If the old man were here, he would be surprised. This bastard can actually bend his knees? Cai Qinghu said indifferently. If the warmth doesn't come back, there's no need for us to get our certificates. Han Qian nodded, and Qin Yazu took out 2 pistols from his waist and threw them on the table, and then took out 2 spare magazines. "We have discussed it. If there is a big fight at the Yamen gate, Nuan will be threatened. The phone number from the provincial military region has been called." Just one sentence. Han Qian nodded. "Yes. Feng Lun is a very thoughtful person. He is looking for Wen Nuan today, not Ji Jing or others. He is betting on Wen Wen's position in Li Jinhan's heart, betting that Li Jinhan will put Wen Wen's safety first." Bit. Qin Yazu curled his lips and said calmly. "I can go with you." "No. As long as the people from the Yamen gate go, Luoshan will die. The Luo family in the capital is putting pressure on you. You can handle it, but it's not easy. Feng Lun and the others won't be the only ones this time. The people who went to my house to kill people should be from the capital." After saying this, Han Qian stood up, picked up the gun on the table and threw it to Guan Daegu. He picked up another one and stuck it behind his waist. Qin Yazu said calmly. "The gun is full of 12 bullets. You can throw the magazine away. Remember to return the gun to me." Han Qian smiled. "Do you think I can come back alive? Good people don't live long." On the other side, Suliang saw Uncle Zhong's collection. This was simply a large arms store. As long as it was a gun that he had seen in the game, it was basically all available here, and there was a dazzling array of them. Uncle Zhong said with some pride. "Looking at the whole country, I should be the only one. Uncle Zhong, I'm leaving first." Before he finished speaking, Suliang carried a shotgun, took off his suit and wrapped it tightly and left the cellar. Uncle Zhong, who wanted to show off, was a little depressed. When Uncle Zhong walked to the ground, Qian Ling stood in the yard. Qian Ling said calmly as she watched the BMW speed away. "How is Suliang?" Uncle Zhong laughed softly. 10,000 kindnesses to the young master are just for the young master. There will never be another one. Didn't Xiao Wan'er create some kind of shabby media company? Give half of it to Li Li, and go to Li Li to sign it now. Madam, the young master will get angry if he knows this. What son doesn't quarrel with his mother? Go ahead, Qin Yazu is watching your arsenal. Madam, don't worry, they are all toys." After saying this, Uncle Zhong smiled at Qin Yazu in the distance. "Qin Bureau is interested in something exciting? Let's take a tour." Qin Yazu said calmly. "Don't panic. They are just models. I have loved them all my life and collected them all my life." Qin Yazu followed Uncle Zhong down to the cellar. Cai Qinghu in the living room couldn't hold himself any longer. He took out his cell phone with trembling hands and called Li Yelai tremblingly. "Why let Han Qian go alone? I know what you are planning." Li Yelai said lightly. As you can see, Han Qian will risk his life for warmth. What he loves most is warmth. Cai King Hu shouted hysterically. Yes. We all know that what he loves most is warmth, but he gave me the title recognized by the law. Han Qian also risked his life for me. Cai King Hu. You are the most outstanding girl, why do you want to share the same man with others? How do you want me to explain to your grandfather in the future? You are really mad at me, even if I match you with my son, but in my heart, you are more important than that trash. So, you want Han Qian to die? Rest early. After the call was hung up, Cai King Hu rushed out of the villa in a panic and rushed to the cellar. He grabbed Qin Yezu's collar and asked. You don't want Han Qian to survive? Qin Yezu tilted his head and said softly. Don't make trouble in Xiahua. Old Qin. After pleading, Qianling walked down the stairs and said indifferently. Joint pressure? Your Yamanman shouldn't be afraid, right? Qin Yezu said helplessly. Dozens of leading companies don't want Han Qian to reach out to Binhai. Not only the companies, Han Qian has been threatening the government office for a day or two, and we didn't let Han Qian die. Cai King Hu turned to look at Qianling, who sneered. It's boring to talk about some things, isn't it? Your yamen are not moving at all. Qin Yezu said in a deep voice. Move. Some people are not allowed to move, but I have asked Li Jinhai to move. This is our duty. Now you have to look forward to one thing. Han Qian can tell us after he finds Feng Lun. Cai King Hu gritted his teeth and said. Despicable. Sun Zhenmin's idea. Qin Yezu shook his head and Qianling sneered. Is it related to Niu Qiudong's death, or is it related to the list in my son's hand? It's not just people from Binhai, right? Then one by one, it's not a small thing. Qin Yezu remained silent because he didn't know what to say. They didn't belong to the same system. Qianling shrugged and continued. If my son can win once, he can win countless times. The Lin family's little bastard is no match for him, Feng Lun? Haha, he's like a mouse, Uncle Zhong. Go and see the guests off. Uncle Zhong nodded, bowed, and smiled at Cai King Hu and Qin Yezu. You two have a short rest, I'll be back soon. See a visitor out? It's not for Qin Yezu as a guest. Qin Yezu probably knew something. He looked at Qianling's back with cold eyes and said coldly. You'd better restrain yourself. Qianling smiled. Me? I'm a widow. I can't get out of the front door, and I can't even take a step toward the second door. At this time, Han Qian had already called the police and the call had been connected. Han Qian. You, tell me the location. There are 3 of you, and there are 3 on my side. It's fair. Let's have a game. Okay. I've been waiting for you to come. I'll send you the location. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian took a deep breath and whispered. You two go back. Suliang nodded. Parking. Han Qian stopped the car at the intersection of the expressway. Huan Yunbiao got out of the car, pulled Han Qian out of the cab and threw him into the back seat. Then he got in and started the car, shouting. Where is he? Han Qian said in a low voice. He sent a period and asked me to guess. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 918. In the hospital, Su Hongchang insisted on calling Han Qian, and the old man frowned. When you are discharged from the hospital, I will train you well, Tong Tong, call Han Qian. The call was quickly connected, and before Han Qian could speak, Su Hongchang gritted his teeth and said. Master, they are definitely still in Binhai, absolutely. With Feng Lun's character, he will never go far away. He doesn't dare to stay too long. For once you are smart, you two don't have to die. Su Hongchang breathed a sigh of relief and slowly closed his eyes. This is already his second mistake. Nursery rhyme pulled the old man out of the ward and whispered. Dad, why does it sound like Han Qian wants to kill Su Hongchang? The old man shrugged and said calmly. If something happens to Wen Nuan, Su Hongchang may not necessarily die, but Kui Li will die. His life is used to protect you and stay. If he fails, there is no need to keep him. Tong Yao couldn't help but trembled and whispered. Isn't Han Qian too cruel? Those who have reached his position cannot stand up if they are not ruthless. It is estimated that Changxiang will explode tomorrow. It depends on how the so-called allies around Han Qian choose to remain loyal or rebel. Hey! It must be interesting for this bastard to live in ancient times. Kui Li is in Binhai? Can this guy be in Binhai? Han Qian frowned and thought, then Su Liang spoke. Qianer, which road is Feng Lun best at? Cars. Planes. Boats. Snapped. Han Qian slapped his forehead and shouted. I know. He is good at waterways. He must have taken advantage of someone. There was a period in his text message. I know, big dog, do you still remember the island we went to for vacation last summer? Chrysanthemum. Yes. There must be no one there this season. Feng Lun will definitely not go too far. Going to other places will alert the local government officials. It will be difficult for them then. He is familiar with Binhai. Kui Li said that Feng Lun will be in a Yuezu is coming to trouble me. He and Lin Zongheng have no financial resources or connections outside Binhai. Su Hongchang is right, he is in Binhai, on Huihua Island. Quan Degu turned the steering wheel fiercely. It was almost 20 kilometers away from Huihua, half an hour, but then the problem came again. How to get to the island? At this time, Han Qian had already called Sun Minjiu. Brother Sun, I need a speedboat. I have to go to Huihua Island now. Good. After hanging up the phone, Sun Minjiu glanced at Yu Zhen beside him and said calmly. Master Han wants a boat, is it for your convenience? Yu Zhen got up and left to prepare. Back to Binhai? Changing cars halfway, Han Qian didn't want people from the Yamen to pass by. What about Feng Lun and what about you? Warmth and safety are the most important thing. Han Qian lowered his head and glanced at the pistol, and then looked at the gun in Su Liang's hand. Guys, Han Qian took a deep breath. Liang Shut up, don't talk to me. My blood is boiling now. It's agreed. Feng Lun is mine. I can't beat Zhang Shengli. Give it to the big dog. Lin Zongheng can handle it on your own. I've always wanted to meet Feng Lun. What a cat and a dog. Crossing your family's Mr. Liang and going straight to my family's Qianer. Is he worthy? Quan Jun smiled ferociously. I would rather fight Zhang Shengli hand to hand. I have been making sandbags for your old man for half a month recently. I also want to see how capable Zhang Shengli is and how he can hurt the old man. Han Qian closed his eyes and took a deep breath. There are so many close friends in life, but he has two. When they arrived at the beach, Han Qian asked Yu Zhen to drive away. Yu Zhen didn't dare to ask any more questions. He saw a gun hidden behind Han Qian's suit and the guy on Su Liang's shoulder, so he left obediently. 3 people board the ship. Su Liang sat on the bow of the boat and loaded the large shotgun bullets into the magazine one by one. He held the gun with one hand and loaded it. He had played with guns a lot in Yezai Pavilion. Su Liang laughed when he heard the crisp sound of loading. On the island, the hotel where Han Qian once stayed is now empty. All the people here have been sent to the basement. Feng Lun is holding a steamed bun in his hand, and Lin Zongheng is preparing a pearl-scent dinner. A long table, steak, coffee, red wine. 4 chairs, 2 women and 1 man, Feng Lun mumbled while biting the steamed bun. How to act? Lin Zongheng chuckled. I like the show Gotham very much, and I also admire Jerome in it. He once asked Gordon to make a decision. He could only save one of the two women, but we are a little different. Han Qian likes warmth. Everyone knows that Wen Nuan also likes Han Qian, but Luo Shen, a bitch, also likes Han Qian. It can be said that he likes Han Qian very much. He even sent himself to Han Qian's bed. You tell me. Then Han Qian will be should he choose to let Luo Shen live and then die with Wen Nuan, or let Luo Shen die. If Luo Shen dies because of his choice, Han Qian will feel guilty for the rest of his life. Feng Lun smiled. I like your plan very much. In this way, no matter whether you live or die, Han Qian will live in the shadow you gave him his whole life. But what if he doesn't choose? Lin Zongheng took out two explosives and placed them under the two women's chairs and said with a smile. 15 minutes, unless the island is blown up with rockets, it won't be enough even if the gods come. I suddenly feel that sleeping with them is boring. Feng Lun curled his lips and said. Have you ascended? I'm just afraid they'll commit suicide. At this time, Feng Lun's cell phone rang. It was Zhang Shengli. Feng Lun answered the call and quickly hung up. He took a breath, stuffed the last bite of steamed bun into his mouth, and said vaguely. Han Qian is here, and Suliang has a shotgun in his hand, which is a bit interesting. Lin Zongheng said lightly. It's dangerous to go out. Fireworks only last for a moment. The game between three people must be played well. Han Qian and I are tired of playing. If he doesn't kill people, I will be bored. Feng Lun left the hotel. Lin Zongheng looked at the two people in front of him. Luo Shen's clothes and hair were very neat, but there were some scars on his face. Lin Zongheng was a little dissatisfied when he saw this. He took out a cosmetic bag and walked to Luo Shen and took it out. When the liquid foundation touched Luo Shen's face, Luo Shen subconsciously dodged. Lin Zongheng suddenly picked up the cosmetic bag and threw it at Luo Shen's face. The next second, he grabbed her neck and said coldly. You have to continue to give me face, you piece of shit, I feel sick even if I touch you now. Luo Shen gritted his teeth and said. Then you kill me. Kill? No, 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 you are not that easy to die, Luo Shen. I didn't expect that someone from your Luo family would help me kill you. If it weren't for them, I wouldn't have known that your female bodyguard was hospitalized. Behave better later, be good. Otherwise, after I kill you, I will kill Luo Fu. Luo Shen remained motionless. Her younger brother has been her weak spot in her life. At the beach, Han Qian pointed at the man standing on the beach and said calmly. Zhang Shengli, who plays with explosives and kung fu. Oh. After saying this, Guan Yunbiao took out the gun in his hand and threw it at Zhang Shengli. He threw the gun as a stone. Zhang Shengli looked at the pistol that fell in front of him, a little stunned. Stupid! Guan Yunbiao shouted. Zhang Shengli? Does he play kung fu? Is he destined to live or die? Zhang Shengli smiled, took off his bomb vest, and shouted loudly. A big dog in District 8? Grandpa will break your bones inch by inch. As soon as the boat docked, Guan Yunbiao jumped off the boat. Zhang Shengli turned around and ran away, shouting loudly. The beach is too soft. Guan Yunbiao pulled out the short knife from his waist and chased Zhang Shengli into the woods. Han Qian and Suliang also got off the boat. Han Qian told the captain to return the same way and just pretend that nothing happened. How could the captain dare to resist? The yacht left, and when Han Qian and Suliang turned around, Feng Lun's voice came from the distance. Han Qian. I won't play with you today. That Suliang, are you really willing to be a dog for Han Qian? He won't even give you bones to eat meat. Suliang glanced at Han Qian and said calmly. You go find Lin Zongheng. The fact that Feng Lun appears here to challenge me means that Lin Zongheng is waiting for you. Han Qian replied in a low voice. Feng Lun is very good at brainwashing. Oh. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Liang picked up the shotgun and pulled the trigger at Feng Lun in the distance. Tang. The sound of the shotgun was very low. Su Liang put down the gun, put one hand to his ear and shouted to Feng Lun. What did you say? I can't hear anything big. I say you. Tang. Click. Tang. Click. Su Liang shouted loudly as he walked and fired in the direction of the sound. Are you saying it again? I can't hear you clearly. Feng Lun hid behind the stone and turned blue with anger. He had met many opponents, but he had never met one as unreasonable as Su Liang. Looking at Su Liang's back, Han Qian walked towards the villa, and Feng Lun took out his gun and pointed it at Han Qian. Tang. Another shot hit the stone. Feng Lun quickly retracted the gun, took a deep breath and shouted to Su Liang while leaning against the stone. Su Liang, let's talk. Okay. Come out. Feng Lun took off his coat and propped it up on a branch. As soon as he spit out his head, Su Liang shot and the clothes were smashed into sieves. Feng Lun gritted his teeth and said angrily. You humming frame me. Are you so stupid that you blame me? Leave your words to the Lord of Hell. I brought 27 bullets, and I have 22 more. Can you believe what you say? I really can't believe it. In fact, I only got 1 bullet. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Liang took out 4 bullets from his pocket, stuffed them into the magazine, and fired twice at the edge of the stone. Feng Lun is about to collapse. Where did this monster come from? His advantages cannot be revealed at all. Boom. Feng Lun covered his head with pain on his face. At this time, Su Liang picked up the second stone and shouted. Xiao Feng Lun, my Qianer is kind. Don't bully him all the time. Today I bully you too. How do you feel? Like this, if you call me daddy, I won't shoot. Really? Tang. Silly son, dad lied to you. Feng Lun was on the verge of collapse and couldn't extricate himself. What on earth is this Su Liang? Shouldn't he just show off in person? Does this guy know how to shoot? Never touched a gun? On the other side, Guan Yunbiao had taken off his bulky clothes, holding a short knife in his hand and staring at Zhang Shengli. Zhang Shengli took out a pair of iron gloves and hooked his hand at Guan Yunbiao. Break your third leg first. Damn it, last year, I was so stupid that I poked you into the sea to use as bait. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 919. Su Liang, sooner or later your bullets will run out. Let's talk. Feng Lun was about to go crazy from being tortured by Su Liang. He also wanted to play with Su Liang's mentality. In the end, this guy didn't give him a chance to speak. Su Liang sat cross-legged on the beach, loading bullets one by one and picking them up from time to time. He raised a stone and hit the stone where Feng Lun was hiding. After a long time, Su Liang's arms became a little sore. He half-leaned on the beach and said with a smile. What you say is yours, I'll play mine. Don't delay, little Feng Lun, everyone in Binhai is afraid of you, thinking you are very smart and powerful, including my Qianer, who is also a little afraid of you, but I really don't treating you like a dish. Do you have 2 more heads than me, or do you have 6 arms? We have no grudge, we can't fight with each other, so. There is nothing to talk about, either you kill me or I kill you, why are you bitching? Feng Lun gritted his teeth and roared back. Su Liang, open your eyes and take a look at your Han Qian in your mouth. What is his status now? He is being coaxed at the Yamanmen, surrounded by beauties, and has a huge fortune. And what about you? You are just a small employee of a company. Are you willing to accept it? Han Qian will not be the only one who dies today. I will die, Lin Zongheng will die, Guan Degu will die, Zhang Shengli, and Han Qian will die. When the time comes, you will be the only one left alive, Bin Hai. Everything will fall on your shoulders and you will become the new owner of Marina. Okay, shut up now. I thought you could say some big truths, that's all? You're all men. Others treat you Feng Lun like a dish. Why do I feel that you are talking to the village head? There's no difference between you two stinky old ladies. Lu Shenga is a better man than you. I'll wait until you run out of bullets. Feng Lun met his match. Han Qian followed the paint cut on the ground to the room on the second floor. He held the pistol in his hand. Han Qian did not walk slowly. He was not afraid of Lin Zongheng, the shrunken turtle. He walked to the innermost door. Outside, Han Qian took a deep breath and pushed open the door. Looking at the scene in the room, Han Qian threw away the mug in his hand, straightened out his slightly messy suit, walked up and sat between the two women, picked up his fork and took a big bite of the steak, then picked it up. He drank the red wine in one gulp, ate and drank in large gulps, and spoke vaguely. Eat. What are you two doing sitting around? It's not easy for Master Lin to arrange a meal. Eat big. Wen Nuan picked up the knife and fork and cut the steak on the plate. Luo Shen hesitated for a moment, but she didn't move. Lin Zongheng, who was staring at Nuan's head with a pistol, took 2 steps back, looked at Han Qian who was feasting and smiled lightly. Mad dog Han, aren't you afraid that I'll poison you? You. If you have that brain, Eunuch Lu will have a son. Han Qian continued to bite the steak without raising his head. Lin Zongheng laughed, sat across from the 3 of them, put down the pistol, picked up a scarf and put it on his chest, picked up the knife and fork elegantly, and said with a smile. Mad dog, we. Shut up. I'm talking when I'm full. I argued with Sun Jianmin for several hours in the afternoon, and now I'm hungry. If you're in a hurry, just start. Please start your performance. Facing Han Qian's rudeness and indifference again and again, Lin Zongheng's chest kept rising and falling. He knew that Han Qian was trying to anger him and could not get into his way. The protagonist of the scene was not Han Qian, but Lin Zongheng. Main character. After eating a piece of beef, he picked up a scarf and wiped his mouth. Lin Zongheng narrowed his eyes and smiled. I felt it, and the warm body was more comfortable than Luo Shen's. After saying the words, Luo Shen turned his head, with endless murderous intent in his eyes. Wen Nuan acted very calmly and pushed the cut beef to Han Qian. Han Qian smiled naively at Wen, pinched a piece of beef with his hand and fed it to Wen. Then he poked a piece of meat with a fork and fed it to Luo Shen. He picked up the handkerchief on the table and wiped off the heavy foundation on Luo Shen's face. Han Qian's movements were very gentle, but Luo Shen still frowned every time he touched his skin. Putting down the handkerchief helplessly, Han Qian leaned on the chair with a sneer in his eyes. Feelings? Yes. You are obscene, little bastard, you can indeed do such a thing, but Feng Lun will not let you do it, not to mention Wen Nuan and Luo Shen, it is Wu Siguan and Wan Fang. After they were caught by Feng Lun it's still innocent, don't brag all the time, you will be offended. After saying this, Han Qian leaned back, the 2 front legs of the chair were in the air, and his feet were placed on the table. From the corner of his eye, he looked under the chairs of the 2 girls. Such an action also gave Lin Zongheng a bite. Rest assured, even if Han Qian suddenly takes action now, his speed will not be faster than the gun in his hand. Lin Zongheng laughed, crossed his index fingers to support his chin, leaned forward slightly, imitated Han Qian squinting, and said softly. Han Qian, you really don't believe that I ruined Wen Nuan? There is a mole on her belly. Nuan turned around and said angrily. Lin Zongheng, you are shameless. Han Qian tapped the table with the heel of his shoe to signal Nuan Nuan not to get excited, then stretched out and sighed. You have grown up together, there is nothing to show off. But I want to tell you some news, your father is going to die tonight. After saying this, Lin Zongheng said angrily. Sure enough, it was you who did it secretly. Han Qian sneered. Me? Attacking an old turtle? You are right, I am indeed torturing him. I feed him 3 meals a day with my fists. At night, I slit the back with a knife and add extra meals. I count the time. Today you tied up the warmth, I guess that group of people won't let Lin Mend live. Lin Zongheng was furious and waved his hands to mess up the plates on the table. He was completely different from the gentleman just now. Lin Zongheng took a deep breath and then smiled. If you die, you will die. People will die eventually. It's worth it for him as a father to die for me, just like my mother died for him. It's all reincarnation, it's fate, it's just a person's death. Sure enough, turtles are all cold-blooded animals. Han Qian, I advise you to read more. I still can't figure out how I lost and when did your plan start. If I tell you, you can figure it out. You can try it. In the woods, Guan Yunbiao leaned against a big tree and spat out a mouthful of sticky blood. The knife in his hand had been broken. Zhang Shengli's clothes were full of knife cuts. A knife wound on his waist was torn apart. This was the only one left by the big dog. Injuries that caused damage to Zhang Shengli. Zhang Shengli did not step forward rashly, but hooked his fingers at Guan Yunbiao. Guan Yunbiao grinned, glanced at Zhang Shengli's backpack in the distance, then stood up and walked towards Zhang Shengli, walking faster and faster, changing from walking to running. Guan Yunbiao jumped up high, with his hands and legs bent, and he used what he thought was the hardest knee to go straight to Zhang Shengli's face. Zhang Shengli is also a man. Faced with this knee strike that he could easily dodge, he did not choose to dodge. He took a step back with his right leg, pulled him down with his right fist, and aimed a punch at Guan Yunbiao's knee. The punch with the iron glove almost made Guan Yunbiao faint from the pain. He pressed his molar teeth, roared, and punched Zhang Shengli in the eye. After landing, Guan Yunbiao ignored the pain in his knee, stood up, raised his leg and kicked Zhang Shengli's lower abdomen. The latter grabbed his legs, took a step forward, and hit Guan Yunbiao's neck with a powerful diamond arm. Guan Yunbiao made a somersault and hit the ground hard. The next second, he turned over and covered his neck, rolling on the ground. He felt as if his throat was broken. Zhang Shengli looked at Guan Yunbiao's misery and said sarcastically, "Is this the dog master in the 8th district? You probably can't even get a rank in Binhai, not counting those who are soldiers." After saying this, he stepped down and Guan Yunbiao rolled backwards. After several consecutive stomps failed, Zhang Shengli frowned, and then he yelled, "You damn dog!" At this time, Guan Yunbiao was less than 1 meter away from Zhang Shengli's backpack. Hearing Zhang Shengli's cry, Guan Yunbiao grabbed a handful of soil and threw it at Zhang Shengli. Then he stood up and threw himself at the backpack. Regardless of what was inside, Guan Yunbiao ran away. Heading straight to the seaside cliff with a weak leg, Zhang Shengli panicked, picked up half of the short knife on the ground and threw it at Guan Yunbiao's back. Unfortunately, he was not a master of using knives, and the handle of the knife hit Guan Yunbiao's back. Zhang Shengli chased after him. At this moment, there was a shotgun blast from behind him, followed by a joking voice. "Little Feng Lun, don't run away. Have all 24 Glock bullets been used up? Don't run away, let your brother Liang love you." Zhang Shengli was stunned by these joking words. Who is this Liang? He forced Feng Lun to run away like a lost dog. Just when he was confused, the joking voice turned into questions. Eh? Zhang Shengli? Where is my big dog? After saying this, Zhang Shengli turned around and ran away. Under the moonlight, he saw this madman loading the shotgun, following Zhang Shengli's jump. 10. The sound of a shotgun sounded, and Zhang Shengli, who fell behind the stone, looked at his arm covered in blood. Shotguns are also called trolls. The bullets are dispersed and have little power at a distance. Even so, he felt as if his arm had been broken. Zhang Shengli gritted his teeth and said angrily, "Are you humming playing dirty? Oh? The big dog is not dead? Sorry, sorry." Su Liang's voice contained a sincere apology, and then he continued to shout loudly. "Xiao Fenglun? Where are you? The island is so big. Stop hiding. You can't run away. Use your body to meet the bullets of my buddy." Has this guy Su Liang ever fought a battle that he was unsure of? The answer is no. At this moment, he still has 7 bullets in reserve. Fenglun was lying on the hay pile. He was trembling with anger. This Su Liang was even crazier than Han Qian. He didn't even hide when they were being shot face to face. He threatened that only poor people can shoot accurately. "I am not poor." Vibrant coverage. Facing a shotgun at a distance of more than 10 meters, Fenglun really didn't dare to aim and fire. Fenglun investigated Su Liang, and Su Liang naturally also investigated Fenglun, and he was very thorough. From the mouth of the Yamen gate, Han Qian's mouth, the mouth of the toad, Kui Li's mouth, Fenglun? A person who doesn't know Kung Fu, has a sub-healthy constitution, is not accurate with marksmanship, can't run fast, and only has a decent brain. Fenglun. I'm so sorry. Your brother Liang happens to be better than you in every aspect. Do you think you have the courage to face me? The target I chose when I came here was you. 24 shots, and you hit me once. Are you a loser or a rookie? No, calling me a dog is a bit offensive to my young man. Are you a rookie? Su Liang's pace was very slow. He didn't feel nervous at all. He was just Fenglun. Even if he didn't have a gun, would he be his opponent? Han Qian didn't even dare to say he could beat him. As he walked and shouted, Su Liang's voice echoed in the paths. But no one knew that his right leg was constantly bleeding, and every step was a blood mark. In the dark night, on a not-so-quiet trail, a kayak parked on the shore. A man got off the boat. Hearing Su Liang's voice, he smiled. 3 of the 4 young people from Binhai are here. Guan Yunbiao should have gone to find Zhang Shengli. Su Liang is chasing Fenglun? It's a bit surprising. Han Qian and Lin Zongheng, where are my opponents? I'm Lu Shenga. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 920. You know now? My plan has already started when you were about to take action against Luo Shen. Otherwise, why do you think I would go to the appointment? Luo Shen is a tool. Otherwise, what do you think I will give you? I just want me to. The ex-mother-in-law is just nagging in my ear because she is not interested in anything. As for you, Lin Zongheng, you just tidied it up. I didn't expect you to be such a bad guy. Luo Shen looked at Han Qian questioningly, but when Nuan held his chin in his hands, his eyes full of love. Lin Zongheng clasped his ears and frowned. I was defeated so easily. It seems that I wronged Tang Wei. Han Qian curled his lips and said, remember to apologize to others after you die. Tang Wei was quite loyal to you. It's strange that Eunuch Lu was very kind to him, but he was not loyal to Eunuch Lu, but to you. In the end, he died because of you. It's really strange in my hands. Can you hurry up? I'm waiting to go home and eat dumplings. Lin Zongheng chuckled. Eating dumplings? Yes. You can leave at any time, but you can only take one with you, and you can't leave until I kill the other. Han Qian laughed after hearing this. Then hurry up and take action. Wait a minute. Who is Xiaonuan? You take Luo Shen home first. I will dismantle the shell of this bastard and go back to use it as a target for your water gun. All three people present looked at Han Qian as if he were a fool. See this? Han Qian bit his upper lip helplessly. Lin Zongheng picked up the gun in his hand and pointed it at Wen Nuan, then at Luo Shen, and finally at Han Qian, squinting. Choose one and take it with you. I will let you leave unscathed today and I will not pester you in the future. Choose one? Han Qian pursed his lips and glanced at Luo Shen, then glanced at Wen Nuan and said calmly. Is your plot from the American or British drama Gotham? I've seen the clip. After saying this, Han Qian narrowed his eyes, his feminine temperament reappeared, and said coldly. What if you are the one I choose to die? Lin Zongheng frowned. Han Qian, don't you humming understand human language? You, what did you do to me? Stop talking nonsense and make your choice quickly. Otherwise I will call Zhang Shengli. As long as his phone rings, we will die together. Then it's over. It will definitely stop ringing. Our big dog is probably beating Zhang Shengli right now. At this time, Guan Yunbiao had thrown his backpack into the sea, and he had touched Zhang Shengli's back with a sharp stone in his hand. Zhang Shengli, who was bandaging his arm, did not notice anything unusual at all. Just when Guan Yunbiao raised the stone and was about to take action, he was wearing a white suit. Lu Shengge suddenly appeared. Guan Degu, it's not a gentleman to attack someone secretly. Zhang Shengli heard the sound and stood up to dodge this fatal attack. Guan Yunbiao, who missed, said angrily. Lu Shengge, I'll hum your mother. Lu Shengge chuckled, turned, and left. The white suit was very conspicuous. Guan Yunbiao was so angry that he felt bad all over. He knelt on the spot and raised his head and roared. At this time, Zhang Shengli appeared in front of him and said angrily. Shout to your mother. Despicable villain. As he finished speaking, he pinched Guan Yunbiao's neck. Guan Yunbiao grabbed Zhang Shengli's wrist and opened his mouth to bite him. Drenched with blood, Guan Yunbiao spat and gritted his teeth. I have good teeth. I knocked out all your teeth. The two men fought again, but at this time Zhang Shengli no longer had the iron gloves. He took them off when bandaging his wounds. He didn't know where he went at this time. The two were rolling and fighting on the cliff by the sea. Lu Shengge didn't care at all about who could win or lose here. It has nothing to do with him. Walking into the woods and coming to a pile of fallen leaves, Lu Shengge stepped on them. Feng Lun gritted his teeth and let out a cry of pain and whispered. Eunuch Lu. Why are you here to join in the fun? Lu Shengge curled his lips, and then shouted loudly. Sul Yang, Feng Lun is here. Feng Lun was startled and stood up. Lu Shengge looked at Feng Lun's back and smiled. He stepped forward with a high taekwondo kick. Feng Lun stumbled and disappeared into the woods. Then two shotgun blasts rang out in the woods. After hearing the sound, Feng Lun turned back, glared at Lu Shengge fiercely, and continued to run for his life. Looking at Feng Lun's back, Lu Shengge chuckled. You can push Feng Lun to this point, Sul Yang. As soon as he finished speaking, a shotgun was pressed against Lu Shengge's back, and Sul Yang said coldly. What are you doing here? Lu Shengge chuckled, took out a Glock and handed it to Sul Yang, smiling. The bullets are full. They are much more useful than this useless troll. Are the bullets almost used? Sul Yang took the gun and frowned. Why are you here? It's just for fun. I don't want the talented people in Binhai to become you and Guan Degu. It's a shame to be together. Lu Shengge continued walking towards the hotel in the center of the island. Sul Yang glanced at Korok in his hand, curled his lips, and then shouted. Little Feng Lun, don't run away. Let's have a long talk, okay? Then Sul Yang walked to the beach. Gentlemen, you do what you want. I, Sul Yang, am a villain, and I don't care about any upright one-on-one farewell. Sul Yang came to the beach and looked at Guan Yunbiao, who was already kneeling in the open space. Sul Yang sighed silently. Then he pointed the gun at Zhang Shengli and said coldly, "Don't move. It's time for intermission." Zhang Shengli turned around and said angrily, "Stop your mother." Puff. A pistol with a silencer was fired at Zhang Shengli. Zhang Shengli cursed in a low voice, but did not dare to move. About 5 minutes later, Guan Yunbiao shook his head and stood up, turning to look at Su, who was leaning against the big tree. Liang opened his mouth and said, "Get out." Su Liang curled his lips and said calmly, "If you want me to say bang, forget it, why should I fight?" Guan Yunbiao said angrily, "A man's duel. Get out of here. How will you explain to Chiener if Feng Lun runs away?" "I can't explain it even if you die." "I can't die. I have figured out Zhang Shengli's tricks." "Oh. Then the second half begins." Su Liang turned around and chased Feng Lun. It had been an hour since he arrived on the island. Su Liang was chasing Feng Lun all over the island. Feng Lun had collapsed countless times. He wanted to fight Su Liang several times, but in the end he still didn't dare. Feng Lun wouldn't do anything he wasn't sure about. In the hotel, Han Qian pressed his ears and said calmly, "It's been 4 and 15 minutes, and you've made more than a dozen calls. Is this bomb still going to go off?" You." After saying that, Lin Zongheng fired twice at the mirror behind Han Qian and said angrily, "Choose. Give me a choice. If you don't choose, I will kill them both." Han Qian frowned. "Do you really want to do this? How about I give Chang Xiang back to you? Then I take them to the mountains to herd cattle without even showing up." "Ah!" Lin Zongheng suddenly laughed. His smile made Han Qian's heart skip a beat. What he fears most is this kind of moody person, because you can't judge what is thinking in his mind. Lin Zongheng sat on the chair and looked at Wen Nuan, smiling. "Xiao Nuan, this is your beloved man. He can take you away safe and sound. After leaving, the police will come. I will be arrested. Shooting or death penalty is my outcome. But he did it for Luo Shen, for this. Don't you think it's sad that your cuckold woman continues to stay here?" Wen Nuan did not speak, but Han Qian frowned and said coldly, "Can you shut up?" Lin Zongheng laughed, turned his head to look at Luo Shen, and said with a smile, "Little god, we used to be a couple that many people envied, but you suddenly betrayed me and chose Han Qian, openly cuckolding me. What now? Your beloved Han Qian, the one you are willing to sacrifice the entire Luo family for. A man who loves you at all does not simply choose to take you away. The injury on your face must be very painful, right? You must also be very hungry. If Han Qian takes you away at this time, you can take a hot bath comfortably, then go to prison and watch me being tortured. Aren't you happy? Please Han Qian take you away, I will keep my promise." Han Qian frowned and said angrily, "Can you play something that should be played in the earthly world? Stop humming nonsense. Choose, I want to see you leave with a woman, leaving behind that woman's desperate eyes, Han Qian. She will beg you, cry, shout, and cry about everything you have gone through. For example, Nuan tells about the 3 years of your marriage. For example, Luo Shen tells how much he loves you and would rather use the Luo family as a dowry. Is it money or love? Han Qian. You can't have your cake and eat it too. I'm not in a hurry. Guan Yunbiao is outside killing people, Su Liang is shooting. Even if you come to the Yamen gate, you can't explain where the gun came from." At the Binhai Yamen gate, Lao Gu looked at the list of names sent by nursery rhyme in front of him, his face as gloomy as water. Cheng Jin stood in the office and did not dare to breathe. Sun Zhenmin, Qin Yazu, and Li Yelai were also very nervous. Lao Gu put down the list in his hand and said calmly. Where is Bunny now? Qin Yezu whispered. The news was lost after entering Bin County. Lao Gu picked up the water glass and was about to smash it, when Tong Yao spoke. Uncle Gu. Your Yamanmen are also included in the calculation this time. Lao Gu turned his head and frowned. Uncle Gu. Are you also Han Qian's confidant? Tong Yao looked slightly embarrassed and whispered. She's my godmother. Tell me how you calculated it. Nursery Rhyme took a deep breath and whispered. You think, you caught King Hu and Anan on the front foot, and then Han Qian came to the Yamanmen to beat people, and stopped many shopping malls and factories in Binhai and sponsored the Yamanmen, and even delayed the development of the city. This shows that Han Qian had already had a quarrel with the government office. Feng Lun grabbed Nuan Nuan at this time. Everyone knew that Han Qian's favorite was Nuan Nuan. If anything happened to Nuan Nuan, Han Qian would also give up on himself. Of course, this is only one of them. There is another point. Now the Yamen gate is suppressed. If Han Qian, Wen Nuan, and Suliang have an accident, Changxiang, Glory and other companies will be at odds with the Yamen gate. Although the officials are not afraid of businessmen, once the businessmen are broken, the economy of the entire city is in big trouble. But if you send troops and someone is injured or killed, Han Qian will be crazy to trouble you if he is alive, and if Han Qian dies, the warm anger will burn the entire city. Lao Gu frowned in thought, then Qin Yezu frowned and said. In other words, sending troops now will cause a rift between Han Qian and the Yamanmen, and not sending troops will cause a rift with the Wen family, the Qian family and other relatives and friends of Han Qian? Is this the truth? Nursery Rhyme nodded. Yes. Qin Yezu frowned and said angrily. Then what should I do? Is it death anyway? He scolded by, and Feng Lun must be killed. What I don't like the most is this kind of crooked person. Sun Jianmin and others are also ugly, Nursery Rhyme whispered. There is no solution. Feng Lun went there with the determination to die this time. He has plotted against the Yamanmen and everyone around Han Qian. If nothing else happens, Han Qian's former allies should come to the Yamanmen quickly. Ask why we didn't send troops. After finishing his words, Chang opened the door. Mayor Chang, this. Go away. Where is Cheng Jin? If you don't tell me what I say today, if you don't tell me the location of my child's uncle, I, Tu Xiao, will tell me. Tu Xiao came with his men, and Lu Guangming behind him was doing yinju with his eyes narrowed. Not sending troops? Does that brat of the Lin family still matter? Lao Gu frowned and took a deep breath. Cheng Jin gritted his teeth and said angrily. You know nothing, get out of here, Tu Xiao. Do you want to go to jail? My children's uncle and aunt are unknown whether they live or die. I don't care if I, Tu Xiao, die. At this time, Qin Yezu stood up. He had never shown favoritism in his life and patted the empty gun butt on his waist. Tu Xiao was slightly stunned and frowned. At this time, Lao Gu turned his head and frowned. Tu Xiao. There is a lot of anger in the world. You are worried about Han Qian, and I am equally worried about this child. He is driving an Audi with a Beijing license plate all over Binhai. Do you know this? Tu Xiao nodded and raised his eyebrows. Which onion are you? That car is mine, and it was my intention for Qin Yezu to give him the gun. You're busy. Tu Xiao turned around and ran away. Lao Gu didn't have time to talk to him at this moment. He took a deep breath and said calmly. Dress up in disguise, and the city bureau will send out 20 old people first, so that Bingxian County Hospital will be ready for rescue at any time. From now on, nurses and emergency doctors will wait in the ambulance. There is a Sun Minjiao in Bingxian County, right? Go and ask. Cheng Jin and Qin Yezu stood up and ran away, when Tong Yao whispered. Uncle Gu, there is someone in the city who is not in Feng Lun's scheme. He and Lin Zongheng cannot scheme against this person. Lao Gu frowned. Is this Lu Shenga? I sent someone to look for him. Chu Leti said that the eldest son of his family has also disappeared. If nothing else happens, the four of you who are having the most trouble in Binhai should be together. Little nursery rhyme, I found out you are very smart. Tell me what Lin Zongheng and Feng Lun's plan is this time. Tong Yao lowered her head and said weakly. I'm not sure. Han Qian's status in Wen Nuan's heart is incomparable to ours, and we can all understand and accept any opinions of Han Qian, but this Luo Shen can't. She once said that if Han Qian marries her, she will bring down the entire Luo Shen. Group gave it to Han Qian and changed his name to Han. Lin Zongheng and Feng Lun should not escape this time. If nothing else happens, they should let Han Qian choose one of the two. As long as one of them dies, Han Qian will live for the rest of his life. Living in the shadow of guilt is even worse than killing him. Sun Jianmin and Li Yelai raised their heads and looked at Tan Jiao at the same time, with surprise in their eyes. Lao Gu crossed his legs, raised his fingers on the table, and said calmly. Nursery rhyme. Teacher Tong, no wonder the child monster in Han Qian's mouth. No wonder Chen Zhan lost so miserably, little boy. I can probably guess which role you will play by staying with Han Qian. It is not a good wife and mother, but it's not the first love of youth. Your role is Han Qian. If something happens to him, you will raise Han Qian's banner, right? You sent the list tonight and have already started to prepare to play the chess that Han Qian has not finished? Nursery rhyme nodded, then shook her head. The role is right. If you don't play chess, you can take revenge. Lao Gu chuckled. Oh, I probably understand. What about Tu Xiao, what about the Wen family, the Qian family? If something happens to Han Qian and others tonight, the first one to attack the Yamanmen will be you, Teacher Tong, right? Nursery rhyme narrowed her eyes and smiled. I can't let my man and my sisters go away like this. The little prince and princess of Binhai have to be buried with someone. So, Uncle Gu, please doubt whether I can do it. If I become the second Feng Lun, I won't give the Yamanmen any chance to breathe. You're busy. I'm going to do my work. The nursery rhyme went very smoothly. Lao Gu trembled slightly when he inhaled again, then frowned and sighed. I have a headache. Why do you always have monsters in Binhai? Han Qian gave the other nicknames to them, right? Lin Bastard, Eunuch Lu, Feng Baobao, Lady Yasha, Aunt Ji. Only this nursery rhyme has the nickname Monster. I don't like smart girls very much, Li Yelai. It's really a miracle that your Qinghu family can get a marriage certificate. It's a miracle that the girls around Han Qian can survive around in the hands of this nursery rhyme. Li Yelai sighed, and then Sun Jianmin spoke. Then let's. Still asking? Didn't Qin Yezu bring 20 people with him? You should also move. Feng Lun is good at waterways. Han Qian is in Bin County. Check the sea surface. Don't use police boats. If there is too much noise, these evil obstacles will be disturbed. Remember to bring medical first aid. It will be difficult if you don't see blood tonight. Sun Jianmin stood up and left, and Lao Gu turned to look at Li Yelai. You. Just be content. You and Zhou Hui are best friends. I know everything about the pressure you two put on Han Qian at the Yamen gate. That's about it. It's a miracle that King Hu can get these. Han Qian is enough. To save your face and act like a biological mother, go and see Han Qian's parents. Li Yelai whispered. Lin Mend is dead. I've guessed it. Even if my half-master's widow did it, I can't get any evidence. This woman was better than this nursery rhyme when she was young. Lao Gu didn't continue. Li Yelai got up and left. Lao Gu was the only one left in the office, and Lao Gu sighed. It's a bit inferior to a nursery rhyme. Hey! Isn't it a children's nursery rhyme, Andersen's Horrible Stories? On Chrysanthemum Island, Lushenga looked at the hostages tied up in the cellar, then glanced at the bombs and curled his lips. Isn't this too childish? He defused the explosives 3 times, then turned around and left, choosing to ignore the pleading hostages in the cellar. Lushenga stood on the stairs, wondering whether to go up, and who should he help after going up. Then the guy sat on the steps. In the room, Lin Zongheng took out a knife and said with a sinister smile. Han Qian. Choose. In 10 minutes, I will make the first cut on Nuan's face. What a pity for such a beautiful face. 5,000 words, don't wait today. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 921. Han Qian raised his eyebrows and looked at Lin Zongheng, his eyes revealing murderous intent, and then he smiled. Lin Zongheng, how about we change the game, you cut me a piece of flesh, and they both take a step outside the door? Your hatred for me is very suitable for Lingqi. Chu Wenwen and Luo Shen suddenly looked at Han Qian with shock in their eyes. Lin Zongheng pouted at the knife on the table. Han Qian smiled and took the steak knife, wiped it carefully with a napkin, rolled up his sleeves and scratched his arm. The knife was very blunt, and a piece of flesh was pinched by Han Qian. In his hand, Lin Zongheng narrowed his eyes. Have eaten. Han Qian tilted his head and Nuan let out a scream. Don't want. Han Qian smiled at Wen Nuan, threw the meat aside, walked up to take the beef in front of Luo Shen, took a bite, and said vaguely. I'm tired of eating myself. You're a good cook. You come and cook. I'll provide the ingredients. You can choose me. Han Qian. I suddenly don't want to play anymore. Your embarrassment makes me very happy, and I don't want you to die. Han Qian stood up, wiped the dirt from the corner of his mouth, and said calmly. Lin Zongheng, I will definitely chop you up today. Okay. I'll give you this opportunity. The island is so big. I can't fly away even if I put on my wings. If you want to leave such a smooth face with an indelible mark for a lifetime, Han Qian. I suddenly thought of a new one. How about we come to Ling Nuan? Or Luo Shen, cut off her flesh one by one in front of you, that kind of wailing, I can't help but tremble. Lin Zongheng's face was full of excitement and his eyes were filled with fanaticism. Han Qian raised his hands and chose to surrender. Give me a moment. It won't be more than half an hour. You know, this is a difficult decision. After saying this, Lin Zongheng stretched out his hand to grab Wen Nuan. Han Qian tacitly prepared the fork on the table to stab him. The next second, the pistol was pressed against his head. Han Qian looked gloomy and said coldly. Back off. You'd better not move until I make a decision. Lin Zongheng took a deep breath, pointed at Han Qian, and said coldly. Sit tight, this is the dinner I prepared for you. Don't ruin the atmosphere. Han Qian shrugged, holding Luoshan in his left hand, and holding the warm hand in his right hand, and said calmly. It tastes really good. I didn't expect you to have such cooking skills. Lin Zongheng chuckled. I admit that I'm not as good as you, but I don't think I'm much worse than you. Han Qian picked up the wine glass and said calmly. Actually, you are very good. Now shut up. Your voice is too unpleasant. Don't disturb me to make a choice. It is not a difficult choice that will ruin the fun of the game. No rush. I'll give you half an hour. Feng Lun couldn't run anymore. As soon as he stopped, a bullet flew past his ear, cutting through the air and slicing his earlobe. Suliang behind him let out a confused sound. Feng Lun turned around quickly, raised his hands, and said roughly. No. Don't run away. Let's sit down and talk. After the talk, you can either arrest me or kill me. Just let me say a few words. You don't have many bullets in your pistol. You have a wound. Legs, if you run down you will die before me. Suliang lowered his head and glanced at the injury on his right leg, then smiled at Feng Lun. You want to talk? Feng Lun nodded. Yes. Suliang threw away the shotgun in his hand and stretched out. Feng Lun stared at Suliang's legs with a gloomy expression. Are Han Qian surrounded by lunatics? Birds of a feather flock together? A Guandegu who is not afraid of death, and a Suliang who does not know pain. Pain. How could it not hurt? It hurts so much. But what's the use of wailing now? It just hurts. Suliang held the shotgun and said calmly. There is one last bullet in here. Don't you have a good head? Think about it, how can I prevent this bullet from hitting your body? Guan Yun Biao can't beat Zhang Shengli. This is not something you should worry about. Cats have their own cat lanes, rats have their own rat lanes, and big dogs have their own special skills of squeezing the bottom of the box. Little Feng Lun, I heard a story from the past, and now I say, listen. Feng Lun took a deep breath. He never remembered being forced to do this by anyone. Facing the nationwide arrests, he was like a loach, but facing this Suliang, he had no choice. There is a little difference. Those people wanted to catch him, and Suliang really wanted to kill him. Suliang put down the shotgun, shook his arm and said calmly. You shined at the Mid-Autumn Festival Gala. I heard that everyone knelt down in the hall to listen to your speech. It was very grand. It felt like an emperor going to court, but these are not important. You used Lin Zongheng as a chair and sat under your butt. Yes. Are you comfortable? Feng Lun frowned and said coldly. What are you going to do? Suliang smiled. Look, my brother's leg was shot by you, and he's a little unconscious now. Like this. Come over and kneel down and let me ride for a while. Feng Lun's face turned ugly and he gritted his teeth. Suliang, please stop. Puff. Bullets flew by, Suliang said lightly. I felt so uncomfortable for 2 months after my wife gave birth and didn't want to go out to play, so I went to the hunting ground of Yezai Pavilion and played with guns for 2 months. Do you think you can dodge the next shot? I'll give you a choice. Come here. Kneel down. Feng Lun took a deep breath, stepped forward and knelt on the ground with a bang. He bent down and put his hands on the ground. Suliang smiled, turned around and sat on Feng Lun's back, saying calmly. Yes, this is better than standing and chatting, little Feng Lun. You are bound to lose tonight. You really are not worthy of being my Qian's opponent. He pities you, but I won't. Feng Lun lowered his head and gritted his teeth. Suliang, I don't understand. Yes. You really don't understand that your city is too deep. You don't trust anyone, including Kui Li, who is loyal to you 10,000 times. Of course. You are very good to him, but you don't treat him as a friend, so you don't understand. Do you feel that Han Qian is like the Prince of Binhai, who is favored by thousands of people, occupying the right time, place, and people, and I am like the little eunuch beside him, and the big dog is more like a guard, right? Feng Lun nodded and whispered. Yes. Suliang raised his head and looked at the sky, sighed and smiled. Yes. Not just you, my wife also said that, Qian Ling has always thought so, and many people think so, haha. It's quite ridiculous to say that. You have all seen Han Qian's success. You don't know that when it was the most difficult time to pay off the debt, he would share the money with me and feel sorry for Yang Lan to take care of the children alone. At this point, Suliang lowered his head and sneered. Recalling that we were still unknown people and beating Li Dongsheng together, I recalled that Jian Wan and I were surrounded in the internet cafe. Hey! Youth! Although we are old, we can still be considered youth. Xiao Feng Lun, what is the relationship between me and Han Qian? Never understand. Feng Lun said in a low voice. He gave Chang Rong to Wei Tiancheng instead of you. Oh, this is because your brain is not strong enough. You tried every means to protect Kui Li, but my brother won't protect me. My Chiener's ambition is different from Lin Men's. He will retire early, and I know his thoughts about me. Wealth and freedom, a life of ease, but my brother is in trouble. I have to stand up, one leg. What if this life is given to you, Feng Lun? You don't understand, you will never understand. A man's friendship is actually very simple. Then go die. Feng Lun grabbed the shotgun on the ground and pulled the trigger on Sul Yang. Click. Feng Lun was stunned. Then he pulled the trigger crazily. Sul Yang took out the last shotgun bullet in his pocket, turned his head and narrowed his eyes with a smile. I told you, your brain is not as useful as mine. After saying that, he hit Feng Lun on the head with a large bullet from the shotgun and said calmly, "Kneel down peacefully. I'm a little worried about my Chiener and I don't want to talk anymore." Feng Lun roared, and then Sul Yang punched him on the head and said angrily, "I told you to shut up. Do you know why I didn't kill you? That's because I was waiting to see what state my Chiener would be in when he came out. What state would you become? Aren't you very smart? I chose to resist." Sul Yang looked at the villa in the distance with a gloomy expression. What is Eunuch Lu doing here? On the cliff by the sea, Guan Yunbiao could no longer open his right eye. One of his front teeth was missing. He was grinning silly at Zhang Shengli. Zhang Shengli was not having a good time at this time. Several pieces of flesh were bitten off by this guy. The most obvious thing was that it's at the shoulders. Guan Yunbiao slowly stood up, his hands hanging limply in front of him. Zhang Shengli covered his shoulders and gritted his teeth. "Han Qian is your father." Guan Yunbiao opened his mouth and his mouth was full of blood. He smiled. "I am your father. My brother Han, I don't know why, but I am very willing to play with him. From the moment I saw him, I felt that we would become friends. I, Guan Yunbiao, have never expected that in my life. There will be people who will be friends with a bastard like me. I accidentally got two of them. I was wronged. They both want to rush to Great Britain to get me back. Those who regard me as a confidant will die. I will give you Zhang Shengli again. What can be done?" Zhang Shengli gritted his teeth and roared. "You will die today. I know I can't beat you. The old man told me, Kui Li also told me, I definitely can't beat you. My mission is to stop you here and don't disturb my Chiener. Is it worth it?" Guan Degu let out a long sigh, then raised his head, narrowed his eyes and smiled brightly. "It's worth it. I'm married and have children, but my Chiener is not married yet and has no children. I guess I can still hold on for half an hour." Zhang Shengli rushed towards Guan Yunbiao again, but Guan Yunbiao had no strength to punch. In fact, they both chose the wrong opponent. Zhang Shengli should be Sul Yang's prey, while Feng Lun was Han Qian's. If Guan Yunbiao was in the hotel, he would leave with warmth without hesitation, but Luo Shen must die tonight. In the hotel, Han Qian glanced at the time on his phone and said softly, "As expected, Big Dog has already defeated Zhang Shengli. It may be a little more difficult for my Liang to deal with Feng Lun, but it won't be a disastrous defeat. You can't run away. It's time for you to make a choice." Lin Zongheng raised his pistol and pointed it at Han Qian, and said calmly, "If I kill you, neither of them will be able to escape." Han Qian nodded and sighed. "I know. Make your choice." Han Qian closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and said tremblingly, "I'll take Luo Shen away." Squeak. The door was pushed open. Boom. There was a gunshot and blood spilled. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, The ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 922. Luo Shen looked at her belly in disbelief. Blood had begun to flow. She slowly raised her head and looked at Han Qian. There was no confusion in her eyes, only deep disappointment. At this time, Han Qian had no time to pay attention to Luo Shen, so he shouted to the door after he came in. "Eunuch Lu, clean up the mess." Then Han Qian flew out through the window that Lin Zongheng jumped out of. The second floor was only 3 or 4 meters high. There was no danger at this height. Lu Shenge bent down, picked up the gun on the ground, rushed to the window, and shouted loudly, "Gun!" After saying that, he threw the gun to Han Qian, then turned to look at the dull Nuan, and then glanced at Luo Shen. Lu Shenge sighed, took off his suit and put it on Nuan, and said calmly, "You know my situation, let's go, don't worry about this woman's life or death." When Nuan slowly turned her head, her eyes were empty. Lu Shenge pulled Nuan to the door, then punched the wall and cursed in a low voice. "After scolding you, who will I quarrel with after you die?" Lu Shenge turned around and walked to Luo Shen, holding the woman in his arms, and whispered, "I have only hugged my wife like this in my more than 30 years of life, and you, a stinky bitch, took advantage of her." Lu Shenge hugged Luo Shen and hurried downstairs. When he reached the first floor, he roared at Nuan who was still stunned on the second floor. "Where do you miss your mother? Let's go." When Nuan followed downstairs in despair, Han Qian's words echoing in her mind. "I'll take Luo Shen away." In the woods, Han Qian chased Lin Zongheng angrily, and made an exception today to kill him. Then Suliang and Feng Lun saw a strange scene. Lin Zongheng ran past in the distance, raising his head and laughing. When Suliang was stunned, Feng Lun suddenly took action and bit Suliang's wound with his mouth. Suliang was in pain. He scolded Feng Lun, then hit Feng Lun on the head with the butt of his gun, turned around and stomped on Feng Lun. Having vented enough, Suliang grabbed Feng Lun's collar and said in a low voice, "Kneel." Bride. Han Qian looked at the scene in front of him and didn't know what to say. He thought Suliang would lose, but he didn't expect that he would deal with Feng Lun so badly. Suliang turned his head and waved to Han Qian. "Continue to chase and run south. Then tell Feng Lun, kneel down, or I'll kill you with a shotgun." Feng Lun gritted his teeth and stared at Suliang. When Suliang picked up the shotgun, Feng Lun was afraid and knelt down obediently. Suliang sat down and waved to Han Qian. "Chase. What are you watching me do?" "Oh, okay. Han Qian couldn't understand. Suliang took care of Feng Lun? Feng Lun, whom everyone in Binhai was afraid of, was used as a chair and sat under his butt? Damn it, if I had known that Suliang would take care of him, why would there be anything like today? Lu Shenge called Chu Leti and asked her to immediately sail to Huhua Island to pick him up and bring the medical staff. Luo Shen, this stinky bitch, was going to die. At this time, Chu Leti was at the Yamen gate asking about the location of his eldest young master. After hanging up the phone, Lao Gu frowned. "Where is Lu Shenge?" Chu Leti hesitated a little, then Lao Gu said again. "If you don't tell me, I will be the first to deal with your second son when I return to the capital. On Chrysanthemum Island, Luo Shen is dying." "Nonsense." Lao Gu stood up and took out his phone to call Qin Yezu and roared. "Take your people and medical staff and go to Chrysanthemum Island immediately. Now, immediately." Finally finding the location, Qin Yezu immediately mobilized the Bin County Yeomanmen to prepare the boat. Tanjeo, who was hiding at the Yeomanmen, heard Lao Gu's low roar, quietly left the Yeomanmen and disappeared into the night, going back to report the news. In the woods, Lu Shenge looked at Luo Shen who was coughing up blood and whispered angrily, "I really humming owe you." After saying that, he put down Luo Shen, took off his shirt and put it into a ball on Luo Shen's chest, and then said angrily to Wen Nuan. Stop looking. Press her wounds, otherwise she will bleed to death before anyone comes. The absent-minded Nuan came back to her senses. She was wearing high heels and threw away her shoes and pressed them on Luo Shen's belly. Lu Shenga picked up Luo Shen and continued running towards the seaside, saying angrily as she ran. The damn thing I came here to prove is that I, Lu Shenga, am also very powerful. I'm not just here to deal with the aftermath, Han Qian. Are you used to bossing me around? Just wait. Just wait until everything is over. I will definitely be with you. Let's have a good chat. Nuan, you don't have any common sense. You held her down for a while. Why does Han Qian like you, an idiot? Oh my god. After saying that, he looked at Luo Shen who was coughing up blood and said angrily. Stop scolding me. Are you still scolding me at this time? Are you sick? When you survive, we will go to the Forbidden City to fight each other. I will curse you to death. Shut up now. Luo Shen grabbed Lu Shenga's arm and whispered. Kill, Lin. Kill your mother, shut up. I'll find a male dog for you while you're talking. Is Lu Shenga bad? Bad. He found the killer before he saw Han Qian. Is he good at this? Not good. But if you say that eunuch Lu is not a man, if Han Qian hears this, he will knock out all his teeth. Although Lu Shenga has physical defects, he is a real man. A man that Han Qian cannot compare to. Putting Luo Shen on the kayak, Lu Shenga grabbed the warmth and was about to go back to find Han Qian, threw it on his shoulder and threw it onto the kayak, saying angrily. Boating. Nuan saw that the oar was motionless, and Lu Shenga was so angry that he felt bad all over. He took a deep breath and raised his hands to gesture to Nuan. You. Here. Wait for the people at the Yamen gate. Me. Go find Han Qian and Lin Zongheng. Don't run away. Zhang Shengli and Feng Lun are both still alive. Understand? Nod. Nuan nodded. Lu Shenga said. Press. Her. Wound. After gesturing and explaining, when Nuan finally came back to his senses, and a panicked look appeared on his face. He turned around and pressed Luo Shen's abdomen with his hands, saying in a trembling voice. Don't die, you must not die. 67 search boats were galloping on the sea. One of them was faster than all the other boats. Li Jinhai held a semi-automatic rifle in his hand, Qin Yaozu held the steering wheel with both hands, and behind him were 3 doctors. Li Jinhai checked the rifle bullets, and Qin Yaozu growled. Everyone I see is freaking out. I'll write the report and say they would rather die than surrender. Li Jinhai gritted his teeth and nodded, whispering. It's Luo Shen who's injured, not my baby Pimple. Qin Yaozu said angrily. Who is on the island? It's Han Qian. Do you think your baby can be hurt? Sit tight. The speedboat picked up speed again. On the island, Feng Lun had been knocked unconscious by Sul Yang. In Han Qian's words, he was just playing for fun. Is this guy too irresistible? Sul Yang couldn't understand how such a waste could make Binhai people afraid of him. Sul Yang patted Feng Lun's face and said calmly. Do you know why I won't kill you? Because you helped Han Qian too much, little Feng Lun. Go to jail and stay. Life imprisonment and deprivation of political rights for life are quite suitable for you. Feng Lun, who was in a coma, didn't even know why he lost so miserably. He didn't even see Han Qian for the last time. On the cliff behind the island, Lin Zongheng stopped running, turned around, raised his hands, threw away the gun in his hand, and said with a smile. Han Qian, how did you know that I would choose to kill the other one? Han Qian threw away the gun in his hand, took off his suit and shirt, and said coldly. One person can think of it. I chose Luo Shen, which hurt Nuan's heart, and then you killed Luo Shen. You can't live with both, right? Lin Zongheng took off his suit and threw it aside, unbuttoned the collar of his shirt and smiled. It's so fun to play with you, but we have no chance to meet again. I will die tonight. Let's go together so that we can have company when we get down there. You go after your father, maybe you can catch him. The two of them took a step toward each other at the same time. Their movements were very slow, and their steps were very slow. But when the two of them got close, their right arm muscles tightened at the same time, and two fists hit the two faces. Everyone was worried that the other person would retreat, so they stretched out their left hand to grab the other person's hair, raised their right hand and punched him again. Very tacit understanding. There is nothing fancy. This is also one of Han Qian's favorite fighting methods. The two exchanged more than 20 punches and retreated at the same time. Lin Zongheng spat with a tooth in it. Han Qian touched his nose. As expected, the bridge of his nose was probably broken. Han Qian raised his head and looked at Lin Zongheng, and hooked him. Lin Zongheng laughed. Han Qian, I'm very excited. The words that you want to take Luo Shen away will always be like a sharp thorn in Nuan Wen's heart. It's also because of your choice that Luo Shen will die. Can Lu Shenge save him? He is just a eunuch. After saying these words, Lu Shenge's figure appeared and pouted at Lin Zongheng. It doesn't matter whether I save him or not, you two continue and I'll watch the excitement. After saying this, Lu Shenge sat cross-legged on the ground. Han Qian ignored Lu Shenge, rushed towards Lin Zongheng, and punched the side of Lin Zongheng's face. Lin Zongheng stumbled, and then punched Han Qian's side. Face. Han Qian has a good figure, and so does Lu Shenge. It's just that the fighting style between the two was not fancy. When Han Qian raised his leg, Lin Zongheng hugged Han Qian's leg and threw it to the side. They were only 3 to 5 meters away from the cliff. When Han Qian stood up, Lin Zongheng had already pounced on him. He came over and sat on Han Qian's body, punching him one after another. Han Qian gritted his teeth, suddenly grabbed Lin Zongheng's fist, stood up and gave him a headbutt. Lin Zongheng was knocked unconscious by the punch. Han Qian turned over and sat beside him, punching him one after another. The two kept rolling on the hard rock, and their bodies were bruised and bloody. Lu Shenge was lying on his side not far away and yawning. This was not good looking at all. He thought he looked like a martial arts master. Han Qian grabbed Lin Zongheng's hair and smashed it against the hard rock. Lin Zongheng stopped moving. Han Qian lay on the ground and looked up at the sky, breathing heavily. The bridge of his nose must be broken, his front teeth must have been broken, and his ribs must have been injured. Han Qian took a deep breath. It must be a dead end tonight. He will not die. Lin Zongheng's plan is to make both women leave him. He gritted his teeth and cursed, his father is not even a human being. He stood up, picked up his suit, and said calmly as he walked past Lu Shenge. Take care of it, my finger is broken. Lu Shenge looked up at Han Qian and said calmly. Don't kill me. This is a good opportunity. Han Qian took a deep breath and said calmly. I still want to ask you, but I guess neither of us can do such a thing. You and I are not Lin Zongheng, and we don't bother to play such dirty tricks. When I recover, we will have a fight to decide the difference between life and death. Lu Shenge stood up and sighed. If you can't beat me, you can leave. People from the Yamanmen are probably coming. Do you really want to kill him yourself? I don't kill people. So you do all the dirty work for me? I owe you. I'll give you a big one, so stop nagging. You'd better go see Guan Yunbiao, he's dying. Han Qian grabbed his clothes and ran away. Lu Shenge stepped forward and picked up the pistol on the ground. At this time, Lin Zongheng opened his eyes and said calmly. Kill me? Have you become friends with Han Qian? When the word friend came out of his mouth, Lin Zongheng felt very awkward. Lushenga squatted next to Lin Zongheng and smiled. It doesn't exist. There is no such thing as friends for people like you and me. There is a deal between me and Han Qian that neither of us has ever spoken about. I do it for my family, and he does it for his Bin Hai family. It's a very difficult thing to do, it's just a tacit understanding formed. I know, let's do it. Lushenga stood up, picked up a pistol, pointed it at Lin Zongheng's legs and fired several shots. There was a muffled sound, and blood exploded like fireworks on Lin Zongheng's legs. When the bullets were gone, Lushenga waved and threw the gun into the sea. Then he picked up another gun, and when he was about to shoot, Lushenga suddenly gave up, waved his hand and threw the gun into the sea, saying angrily, "They're all dead, they're all humming dead, this game is so boring." Lin Zongheng looked at the night sky and said calmly, "Don't kill me. Mercy." Lushenga let out a long sigh. "It's not really sympathy. Although you have done so many disgusting things, you have been my opponent after all. Bin Hai's former prince, it would be too shameful to die at the hands of others." Lushenga turned and left, leaving Lin Zongheng behind. He looked at the stars in the sky, tears falling from the corners of his eyes. "Whisper softly." Wrong. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 924. Guan Yunbiao knelt in front of Zhang Shengli, grabbing the waistband of his trousers with both hands. Now Guan Degu couldn't tell whether it was day or night, and he couldn't feel his fists falling on him. He had already hallucinated, and could vaguely see his wife looking at her from a distance. Zhang Shengli was holding a stone in his hand and raising it above his head. This scene was seen by Han Qian. Han Qian roared and bent down to pick up the stone on the ground. He found that his fingers didn't obey his orders at all. Just when Han Qian was desperate, a rifle shot was heard, and Zhang Shengli's calf exploded with blood mist. Despite this, Zhang Shengli still did not give up and raised the stone again. A roar came out. "Surrender, or I'll kill you." Zhang Shengli ignored this. Han Qian turned his head and looked at Li Jinhai, who was wearing a bulletproof vest. Before he could speak, Li Jinhai pulled the trigger. Puff 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 puff. 4 bullets accurately hit Zhang Shengli's back. The stone in his hand fell on Guan Degu's shoulder. He was shot 5 times. Zhang Shengli did not fall down. He roared and punched Guan Yunbiao on the temple. He knew that he would definitely die today. At this time, Qin Yaozu kicked Li Jinhai away, took the 95 rifle from his hand, and held the gun in his hand for a second to declare victory. A bullet pierced the night and accurately focused on the back of Zhang Shengli's head. Zhang Shengli's body hit the ground hard, splashing blood instead of dust. Qin Yaozu roared at Han Qian. "Where is everyone?" Han Qian ignored Qin Yaozu's roar and rushed towards Guan Yunbiao like crazy. Guan Datu lay flat on the ground and smiled at Han Qian. "Brother Han, Han. Everyone is safe, don't say anything yet." "Old Qin, second uncle." At this time, Li Jinhai had already arrived, picked up Guan Degu and ran away. At this moment, Lushenga appeared next to Qin Yaozu and said calmly, "Feng Lun was captured by Sul Yang. In the woods south of the hotel, Sul Yang was shot in the right leg. The hostages are all in the basement of the hotel. I defused the explosives and tied them up." Qin Yaozu started distributing tasks through the intercom. The policeman from the Yamen entered the island with a rifle. Han Qian was lying on the ground looking at the sky. Qin Yaozu turned off the intercom and whispered, "Where is Lin Zongheng?" Lushenga frowned and said doubtfully, "Lin Zongheng? Is he also on the island? I went to the island later, and I didn't find Lin Zongheng." "Then you have to look for it carefully. Is it nothing to do with me? I'm leaving first. Go to the Yamen gate and wait." "I." The rifle was pointed at Lushenga, who raised his hands, and then licked his lips at the handcuffs on Chinyeazu's waist. Chinyeazu snorted. Lushenga raised his head and laughed, smiling. He lowered his head and turned to look Han Qian's side. Is this stage play coming to an end? The stage is still exciting and the actors are still there. Lushenga raised his head, looked at Han Qian, and said calmly. I hope so, otherwise it will be too boring. Can you leave? I can't walk anymore, please carry me. Lushenga stepped forward and took Han Qian's arm. This guy did not carry Han Qian on his back, but put him on his shoulders and walked towards the seaside, away from Chinyeazu. Han Qian said. Where's Lin Zongheng? Lushenga sighed and said calmly. I guess I didn't kill him this time when I was recalling his short life on the cliff. Han Qian whispered. I know, because I can't do it either. Lushenga sighed. Yes, the Prince of Binhai is armed with swords and swords. No matter what he has done or what he has done, if he is about to die, it would be better to leave him the last trace of respect. What if I just killed him? You can't kill me. I'm here, can you see what I'm thinking with all your arrogance? Eunuch Lu. I'm very unhappy. I probably understand why people in ancient times would fight for their entire lives, and then die like this. It's boring. So, stop talking and go back to Binhai. There's something. You say. Can you stop carrying me? My ribs are broken. Just bear with it. Suliang and others arrived at the Yamen gate. Chinyeazu looked at Feng Lun who was lying on the ground with his limbs tied together. Then he glanced at the gun in Suliang's hand and Chinyeazu said lightly. Why don't you give it back to me? Suliang was stunned, and then hurriedly handed the gun to Chinyeazu. Chinyeazu stepped forward and squatted in front of Suliang, looking at his wound, and whispered. I don't remember that I gave you a gun. I won't hold you accountable for this matter. In the future, when you kidnap people, you will be treated like kidnapping pigs in the countryside. It's so humiliating. What he said? Socks, mine. Can you still leave? A little dizzy. When the words fell, Suliang fell to the ground with a thud. Chinyeazu turned around and called to the medical staff. After examination, the doctor determined that he had lost too much blood and the bullet seemed to be still inside. Chinyeazu looked at the fainted Suliang, although he thought that he would rather die than let go of Zhang Shengli. Guan Yunbiao, he sighed. They are all good kids. But Lin Zongheng is not here? There is a lie in this, otherwise Luo Shen's injury cannot be explained. On the edge of the cliff, Lushenga climbed up bit by bit. Looking at the waves under the cliff, Lin Zongheng turned over with difficulty. When he looked up at the stars again, he smiled like a childish child, with tears falling from the corners of his eyes. He opened his mouth with difficulty and smiled. Mom, you came to pick me up. I miss you so much. If I knew I could see you this way, I would have gone to see you when I was 7 years old. In Lin Zongheng's sight, a plump woman wearing home clothes showed her the most kind smile in mid-air. Lin Zongheng missed this smile for 22 years. Lin Zongheng stretched out his hand with difficulty, trying to cover those gentle hands. He cried and laughed at the same time. Mom, Zongheng didn't lose. To Han Qian, to Lushenga, to Feng Lun, my son didn't lose. My son just doesn't want to live in this world anymore. All the people I love have left, mother. You should let me and you let's go together. My son hurts, it hurts a lot, my legs hurt, my hands hurt, my heart aches, I just want to be your son in this life, Mom. Lin Zongheng's tears blurred his vision, and he hurriedly wiped them away. He wanted to see his mother's face clearly, to see his mother's deep love for him, and to see his mother open her arms to him. Lin Zongheng stood up with difficulty. Every movement hurt his heart. Standing on the edge of the cliff, Lin Zongheng opened his arms. Mom. Zongheng, Mom is here. If you were here, would you protect me? Protect me like my father. I will. You will always be mother's baby. Mom. I want to hug you. Lin Zongheng closed his eyes and leaned forward to fall. As he fell, he felt that he was in his mother's warm embrace. He smiled, very happily and childishly. The moment he landed, a picture appeared in Lin Zongheng's head. Hello, why are you unhappy? My mother died. Do you have no relatives anymore? And my dad? No. Don't be unhappy, my name is Nuan Nuan, what about you? Who am I? My name is Lin Zongheng. Because my name is Lin Zongheng, I am reluctant to shoot you. Han Qian? He knows shit. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 925. 7-year-old Lin Zongheng knew that his mother had left him and would never come back. His father was busy with work, so he would be heartbroken. When Lin Zongheng was most helpless, Nuan Nuan appeared. 6-year-old Nuan Nuan followed Wen Shi to Changxiang. At that time, Changxiang was just a small company. Lin Mend and Wen Shi were both very busy, and they still needed to be partners. The kind-hearted Xiao Nuan Wen saw the hesitant Xiao Zongheng, who was holding a knife on his wrist. Nuan Nuan was very scared, but she still went forward to say hello. Why are you unhappy? Lin Zongheng raised his head and looked at the girl with round face and round eyes in front of him. From then on, Nuan Nuan followed Wen Xiu to the company to find Lin Zongheng every day, because Lao Wen told Nuan Nuan that Uncle Lin was worried that his child would not be able to think about things, so he asked the little angel Nuan Nuan to accompany him. Nuan Nuan has no friends, and Lin Zongheng has no friends either. We go to school together, do homework together, and eat together. Over time, Lin Zongheng regarded Nuan Nuan as the last gift his mother gave him after she left. But Nuan Nuan's heart was just to prevent him from committing suicide. Nuan Nuan had never liked Lin Zongheng. She had no other friends and didn't like him. I watch TV, don't like reading novels, and rarely communicate with others at school. Some people joked that they were childhood sweethearts, and Wen Nuan didn't understand. We didn't understand. After a long time, some said Lin Zongheng liked Wen Wen, and some said Wen Wen liked Lin Zongheng, but Wen Wen didn't know what liking meant. Until I lived with Han Qian for 3 years, I would quarrel over trivial matters, laugh over a clip on TV, argue over whether to add coriander in cooking, worry about the other person's discomfort, and be the first to deal with danger. It was him who came to mind. Lin Zongheng was just the brother who grew up together. Han Qian was the first man after Wen Wen understood what it meant to like him. Lin Zongheng liked Wen Wen before, but the stupid Wen Wen matured later than other girls. She didn't understand this. The Lin family was completely destroyed. Lin Zongheng and Lin Mend left this world on the same day. Maybe Lin Zongheng didn't have any worries when he left, maybe Lin Mend was still worried about Lin Zongheng when he died. There are bound to be many people awake this night. More than a dozen speedboats rushed back to Binhai County. Luoshan had been sent to the county hospital for emergency treatment, and then transferred back to Binhai City Hospital. When Han Qian walked into the hospital, all Binhai's cronies were in the hospital, and Han Qian made way. Suliang and Guan Yunbiao were pushed into the operating room. Han Qian strode up to the only girl sitting on the chair and said softly, "I'm sorry for scaring you." Wen Nuan slowly raised her head and looked at Han Qian, and then saw Han Qian's deformed fingers. She covered her mouth and tears fell down. Li Jinhe hurriedly stepped forward and pushed Han Qian into the operating room. When entering the operating room, Han Qian turned his head and looked at Wen Nuan, who was sitting there crying, his eyes full of guilt. The door of the operating room was closed and everyone took a deep breath. Only Tong Yao looked gloomy and walked towards the few people at the Yamen gate. "Now that the matter has been settled, shouldn't your Yamenman give us a perfect explanation as to why Feng Lun and Lin Zongheng arrested people after you came to Binhai?" Why can't you find their definite location at the Yeomanman? Why do you have to wait until someone is seriously injured before you take action? Tong Yao's three angry questions made several people in the Yamen gate fall silent. Cai King Hu came over and stretched out his hand to hold Tong Yao's hand and said softly, "Yao Yao. Shut up. You are the daughter-in-law of your Han family, and you don't need to worry about other things." Cai King Hu was stunned. At this time, Yan Qingqing came over and pulled Cai King Hu away. Tong Yao turned around and looked at the few people asking questions. "It's been so long since the Mid-Autumn Festival massacre happened, and you haven't caught anyone at the Yamen gate. What are you doing here now? Waiting for Han Qian to come out and question him? You guys are so thick-skinned. Bin Hyanding will find a way to get along with you." Han Qian denies the relationship and lets him rush to the front when trouble occurs. "You know Lin Zongheng is guilty, but you let him go. People from Nyita to Binhai, the city, the province, and the capital are all there. You don't know Fenglun is on Chrysanthemum Island? I want you to give an explanation today." Why? The nursery rhyme was hysterical. Han Qian could hear it clearly in the operating room. He took a deep breath and waved to signal the anesthesia to wait a moment. Regardless of the medical staff's obstruction, he got off the bed with his bare feet, opened the door, exposed his head and shouted softly, "Tong Tong." Tanjeo turned around, looked at Han Qian, and said angrily, "It has nothing to do with you. You don't want to be the bad guy and worry about involving them. I'm not afraid. I will be the bad guy. The Yeomanmen hope you die, so there is no need to show any face to them." After saying this, the old man stood up and walked behind Tanjeo, looking at the people at the Yamen gate with cold eyes. Li Jinhe snorted coldly, stood up and walked towards Tanjeo. Qianling did not move, but Qianwan stepped forward. Everyone's anger could no longer be suppressed. If Tong Yao hadn't spoken, they wouldn't have known that someone was secretly suppressing them at the Yamen gate. Sun Jianmin said in a low voice with a cold face, "I'm also investigating this matter. Li Jinhai, please tell me who is oppressing you." Li Jinhai sighed and said calmly, "No one forced my people to go out, it was the people from Bin County who didn't move." Sun Jianmin gritted his teeth and growled, "Cheng Jin. Go and notify me that everyone in Bin County, from big to small, has been evacuated." The words came out, Tong Yao said angrily, "Are a few scapegoats from Bin County enough for you? There is someone behind the scenes who has been fueling the flames. Do you think I am blind?" Sun Jianmin said in a low voice. "Nursery rhymes. When you speak, you must provide evidence." As soon as the words came out, Nuan, who had never spoken before, spoke. "Shi Ci, please prepare yourself. Changxiang Group has filed for bankruptcy. Since we don't know who has wronged Han Qian, let the whole Binhai apologize. Since Changxiang has applied, I, Shun Cheng, have also filed for bankruptcy. Changrong changed its name to Huishan. It can no longer continue to operate and we will no longer play. Don't you want the 8th district?" I, Tu Xiao, gave in. Lu Shenga, who was leaning in the corner, chuckled. "Now that you have all withdrawn, I have no interest in being left. Yan Qingqing, Glory will withdraw its capital and leave, return to the capital, and stop playing." All of these groups suddenly shut down without caring about anything. The people laid off in Binhai were not just tens of thousands of people. Most of the people living in Binhai were dependent on these companies. Cheng Jin sighed. "I don't want to do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I just wanted to save little Han Qian once, but I failed every time." Lao Gu turned around and looked at Sun Jianmin and said coldly, "I need an explanation." Under the pressure of everyone, Sun Jianmin broke out, sat down on the ground, and shouted loudly, "I won't do it anymore, and I won't do it either. I run to Binhai a dozen times a year. What am I doing for? Why is little Han Qian dancing like that in Binhai? I shouted on the side of the road that he is my nephew. I for what? Xiao Han Qian has done a lot of things wrong, and I humming see it in his kindness to the people in Binhai. The Yamanman put pressure on Han Qian, asking him to get the certificate with King Hu. What does this have to do with me? Relationship. I have been in Binhai. You, surnamed Gu, threatened Han Qian. I apologized like a grandson. Something happened. I, the scholar, brought a gun to the scene. Now there is someone behind the scenes, so I have to give me something to deal with. Ah! As he spoke, Sun Jianmin, who was in his 50s, shed tears. Han Qian, who had been watching at the door, lost his temper and said angrily. It's endless, isn't it? Ah! I'm not humming dead yet, and I been caught. Can you all be quiet, nursery rhymes? Shut up, Mr. Chang, you have to resign, I'm not done with you anymore, let Lao Sun handle it, I won't do any humming surgery. After saying that, Han Qian ran outside. This time, several people panicked and persuaded Han Qian to return to the operating room. At this time, Xiao Song hurried over and whispered. Lin Zongheng's body was found. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 926. 2 days later, the first interrogation of Feng Lun began. Feng Lun confessed all the evidence of his crimes, including murder, blackmail, kidnapping, gun possession, etc. This was just a formality. Everyone knew what crime he had committed, but after the interrogation, Tong Yao came to the Yamen gate and found Lao Gu directly. Han Qian asked me to send a message that Feng Lun cannot die and will be detained in Binhai. Lao Gu looked gloomy and whispered. Is this his condition? I don't know. He told me during dinner. He said he wanted to keep Feng Lun in Binhai to serve as my advisor. After saying this, Lao Gu slapped his hand on the table and said angrily. Binhai is Han Qian's back garden? What does he say? Impossible, Feng Lun must die. Tong Yao took a deep breath and said calmly. Han Qian guessed that you would not agree, so he came over to talk to you later and sent Guan Yun Biao and Luo Shen to you for intravenous drip. Asshole. 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 Han Qian also said that they arrested Feng Lun, otherwise you would never be able to touch Feng Lun's hair for the rest of your life. I know, let me think about it. Han Qian said he wouldn't let you think. This time it's your problem. You came to Binhai to attack Han Qian. Everyone thought Han Qian had provoked you, so they dared to attack you secretly. So, you have a big problem. Lao Gu took a deep breath and said calmly. Actually, Han Qian didn't say anything, right? Nursery rhyme chuckled. He said that the lunch dish was a bit bland. Okay, I understand. Feng Lun needs a reason not to impose the death penalty. Nursery rhyme narrowed her eyes and smiled. Half of the list has not been given to you. This will be regarded as Feng Lun's confession and repentance. Lao Gu narrowed his eyes and said coldly. Teacher Tong, I don't want you to continue working in your school. Nursery rhyme chuckled. This school will give me a younger brother. Han Qian is retiring. He needs someone in his place. Otherwise, why would I keep Feng Lun? Girls are better off shopping and raising flowers. The one who buys and buys is Cai King Hu, the one who raises flowers is Yates and Ji Jing, the one who is responsible for being cute is Wen Wen, the one who is mature and calm is Yan Qing Qing, the one who has an affair is Yu Shisai. There is a canary in the capital, no, my position has been taken. Uncle Gu, don't worry, I will take care of Ben Hai according to Han Qian's wishes, and I can suppress the nursery rhymes in the 8th district. Tong Yao sat on the sofa and looked at Erlang's legs, her ponytail swaying when she turned her head. Lao Gu sat in front of his desk, pointed at the cross and smiled. You want to replace Han Qian to complete what he has not completed? First of all, you have to do one thing. After Han Qian retires, his pressure in Binhai will disappear. You can suppress Lu Guangming, Wei Tiancheng, and others, and then again. Will the Qian family help you? Can the Wen family lend you its power? Will little Tu Kun from District 8 call you aunt? Nursery rhyme chuckled. Uncle Gu, you are worried too much. I have already prepared countermeasures for these things. Lao Gu became interested and smiled. You say it, and I listen. Call me Uncle Gu, and we are part of the same family. Tong Yao narrowed her eyes and chuckled. Han Qian's retirement will not be now. He still has some unfinished matters. After these matters are dealt with, he will get the certificate from King Hu, hold a wedding with Wen Nuan, and get Yan Qingqing pregnant. These are all things for later. You know that there is an old Taoist priest in Binhai Seaside Temple. Lao Gu nodded and smiled. I know, Lin Mend once invited this old Taoist priest to enjoy his stay, but he was rejected. Nursery rhyme said with a charming smile. I went to see him and promised a lot of conditions in exchange for the old Taoist priest's divination. Han Qian's first child will not be a boy. This girl will definitely be taken by me. Do you think I will take him with me? With Han Qian's daughter in Binhai, do I need to do anything to oppress her? As the daughter of the little prince of Binhai, isn't this enough? Lao Gu smiled. Not enough. What if this child is Ji Jing's? Tong Yao smiled kindly. Lao Gu fell silent, and then sighed. Divinations cannot be taken seriously. Don't worry, I will definitely take it seriously, because Ji Jing will not fight with Yan Qingqing. I will find a way to make her the mother of Han Qian's first child. Do you think she will want a boy? Abortion? Can you withstand Han Qian's pressure? Then let's ask Han Qian if he dares to disobey his promise to Yan Qingqing. The nursery rhyme suddenly exuded an aura and its voice became sonorous and powerful. Lao Gu took a deep breath and said calmly. A woman like you won't die easily. Nursery rhyme laughed. Why should I think so much about the future? Ji Jing is the daughter-in-law appointed by Jianling. No matter how the three empresses make trouble, Ji Jing is number one in Jianling's heart. Ji Jing's daughter is by my side. Everyone will be willing to see it, because if the Han family does not produce idiots, it would be too weak to follow Ji Jing, so I am the most suitable one. It's still not enough. The eldest princess of the Han family, with how well Han Qian treats Tu Kun, Tu Xiao will treat this child as a treasure, and he will take Tu Xiao away. Wei Tiancheng will not dare to move. Wu Saiquan, Luo Shanda, and Gao Jingcheng owe Han Qian a huge favor. One Lu Guangming and the three of them can hold it down. This child will recognize Guan Yunbiao and Suliang as godfathers, and will recognize Luo Shen as godmother. Isn't that enough? Tong Yao smiled very confidently, while Lao Gu tilted his head and said doubtfully. Luo Shen? This is just what you said. Tong Yao stood up, picked up the tea that had been brewed, filled it up for Lao Gu, and whispered. Everyone understands Han Qian's choice on the island this time. When he said I want to take away Luo Shen, he chose to let Luo Shen die. This is Han Qian's debt to Luo Shen. In addition, there is also Lin Zongheng's shot. It hurts Luo Shen's privacy. She may not be able to get pregnant again. We are all aunts of the eldest princess, and there is only Luo Shen as godmother. What if this child will follow Luo Shen to live in the capital when he is 3 years old? Luo Shen likes Han Qian, very much. The Han family called her mom. Is this enough to make up for it? Lao Gu picked up the teacup, blew it gently, and sneered. This is just your idea. Ji Jing didn't say anything. Mistress Bobo only has Han Qian in her heart and cannot tolerate the second one. She doesn't like children very much. How about Da Hongbao? Nursery rhyme smiled kindly. Lao Gu put down his teacup and smiled. The Han family knows about your plan? Or do these women know about it? Nursery rhyme laughed. I don't know, they don't need to know. We are like a maid in the courtyard. Han Qian is the young master in the courtyard. Some people warm the bed, read with you, laugh, and feed them. I will not interfere with them, and neither will they intervene with me. If Han Qian is willing, I can accompany him to build a Han family where everyone has to take off their hat when entering the provincial government office. But if he doesn't want to, I can just guard everything about him. Then Tong Yao took out 2 pieces of shortbread, tore open the package and handed one to Lao Gu, then ate 1 piece himself and continued. Han Qian's mother, my godmother, is in poor health. She likes grandchildren, but she can't take them with her. My godmother is also a woman of great wisdom. Lao Gu took a deep breath and said doubtfully. Nurse rhyme, a girl like you shouldn't stoop to Han Qian's side. If you want to, you should understand better than the other girls in Binhai. Tong Yao was stunned for a moment, turned around and leaned on the desk, looking at the roof and said quietly. Because I love him. I liked Han Qian a long time ago. At that time, I knew that I couldn't like him, so I tried my best to make him hate me. I am venomous, stupid, and have no money. Too much, pretentious, not gentle, and ignorant, but when I am in trouble, he doesn't even frown. No matter what I do, he is like that. There is no reason not to love such a man. Bending down? Doesn't that count? Let's go. Lao Gu asked curiously. If you think about it, whether it's warmth or Cai King Hu, let alone sitting in the main palace, it's difficult even to be next to Han Qian. I have no reason to make Han Qian sad and make a choice. We have a common idea in our hearts. If Han Qian can give up one of them, he can also give up the other. This way, there will be no sense of security and we can serve the same husband together. It doesn't exist. Han Qian belongs to everyone alone. Besides, I have no interest in the position of the Han family's main palace. My character is shady. Do you know why it's not Wen Nuan and Yan Qingqing who received the certificate with Han Qian? Lao Gu stood up, got a cup of tea and handed it to Tong Yao. This action startled Tong Yao, and he quickly stuffed the shortbread into his mouth, bent down and took the teacup with both hands. Lao Gu said with a smile. Don't be so formal. Nursery rhyme said respectfully. You should treat your elders with proper etiquette. Tell me why it was Cai King Hu who received the certificate. Nursery rhyme held the teacup in both hands and smiled. Wen Nuan has mild autism and severe social disorder, harm. This is not okay, and Yan Qingqing has social disorder. She is too irritable. After all, Cai King Hu is the only one who can break into the house. As for the others have no aura, and neither do I. Lao Gu laughed. Li Yalai will probably be very happy if she hears it. You are a very interesting girl. How do you resolve the relationship at the Yamen gate? Nursery rhyme said with a silly smile. The elder gave me tea, but the younger one did it. Lao Gu was stunned for a moment, then laughed loudly, pointing at the nursery rhyme and laughing. You're such an eccentric girl, you went all the way around to get me in? What's this called? To capture the thief first, capture the king. Nursery rhyme said with a charming smile. Sun Jianmin and I had a fierce quarrel. Li Yalai has been dissatisfied with me for a day or two. Qin Ye's stone is not good. As for Cheng Jin, this old man is already frightened, so the junior did it. After saying this, Tong Yao shook his head and drank the tea in the cup, even chewing the tea leaves, and said with a naive smile. Uncle Gu, is that enough now? Lao Gu held his chin and thought, and then continued with a naive smile. No reason. Nursery rhyme said with a silly smile. There is a reason. Your lover should never agree to remarry, right? Lao Gu turned around and said doubtfully. Do you have any idea? Nursery rhyme laughed. King Hu and I are not close, but we can still talk to each other. What if Li Yalai suddenly resigned? She seems to be very close to your lover. Women have soft ears. If Uncle Gu bows his head for the first time, it doesn't seem impossible. Go, 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 no wonder you and Han Jian can get together, these are two little foxes. Uncle Gu, please take a rest. This junior will take your leave. Tong Yao bent down and exited the office holding the teacup in both hands. When she reached the door, Lao Gu suddenly spoke. Otherwise, Feng Lun wouldn't be a capital offender. He put all the blame on the Lin family and his son. Nursery rhyme closed the door. Lao Gu looked at the shortbread on the table, smiled bitterly and shook his head. Monsters appear on the seashore, a male and a female. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 927. Tanjeo opened the door furtively, and Cai King Hu snorted when he saw Tanjeo and said coldly. Since when did teacher Tong like to play missing? Tong Yao smiled innocently, walked to Tong Yao's side, hugged Tong Yao and said softly. Nuan Nuan, look what I bought you. When Nuan slowly turned his head, took out a piece of strawberry mousse like a magic trick, and said with a naive smile. Life is hard, but you are the only one who tastes like strawberry. Nuan Nuan showed a smile and Cai King Hu whispered. I still smell like watermelon. Nursery rhyme turned her head and nodded. Yes, yes, you are watermelon frosty, warm, let's ignore her. Seeing Wen Nuan's listless appearance, Tong Yao sighed and muttered softly. Anyone with a brain knows that Han Qian said he took Luo Shen away just to protect you. Why is she acting like a pig? Why don't you find a doctor to give her an injection? Nuan Nuan slowly turned his head to look at Nursery rhyme, with anger in his eyes. Belch. Tong Yao was stunned for a moment, then glanced at the empty lunchbox on the table, looking at Wen Nuan, and said awkwardly. You, don't say you're unhappy after eating too much. Nuan Nuan shook his head and whispered. I ate too fast and ate the coriander. Tong Yao stuffed the strawberry mousse to keep her warm and told her to eat it later. Then she whistled and was about to leave. At this time, Han Qian spoke. It took you so long to go downstairs to buy a cake. Nursery rhyme turned around and said softly. Feng Lun does not have the death penalty. He will be imprisoned in Binhai prison indefinitely. His sentence will not be commuted. Han Qian frowned and whispered. You run it? Tanjeo shrugged and did not answer, but Han Qian already had the answer in his heart. Time passed quickly, and in a blink of an eye, spring was coming to an end. Luo Shen returned to the capital, leaving Han Qian a blank piece of paper when leaving. Su Liang curiously asked what this meant, Han Qian shrugged, and Guanda stood aside. The dog chuckled. I've seen it in TV dramas, it's like I have nothing to say. Han Qian pushed the paper to Guandegu and said irritably. But you are obviously smart for once, annoying, annoying, annoying. Su Liang whispered. Can't bear to part with it? I'm so reluctant to give up. I'm worried that the relationship with the Luo family will become tense. This Lin Zongheng is dead and has left me this mess. I'm going to see Feng Lun. Will you two go? The two shook their heads at the same time. Guan Yunbiao went back to the ward to watch TV series, and Su Liang said he wanted to go home to be with his daughter. In short, neither of them wanted to see Feng Lun. Going downstairs, Cai King Hu was already waiting downstairs. When he walked to the car, Han Qian looked at Cai King Hu, who looked at Han Qian, and then Cai King Hu hurriedly got out of the car and whispered. I forgot you had a broken finger. Han Qian glanced at the two bun-like hands and sighed feebly. It's okay, I understand. After getting in the car, Cai Qinghu handed Han Qian a bottle of water, and Han Qian took a deep breath again. I'm not thirsty. Mister, I'm thirsty. Your husband didn't even get in the car just now. I forgot. Han Qian suspected that Cai Qinghu did it on purpose, but she had no evidence. When she arrived at the prison, the warden told Han Qian that she could not see him before the trial started. After hard work, he finally promised not to cause trouble in the prison in the future. This just met the person. We haven't seen him for many days. Feng Lun has not changed much and his mental state is very good. Thinking about it, since Tan Jiao left him in Binhai, he would definitely find a way to take care of him. No matter what happens to Feng Lun, Han Qian's success is inseparable from him. Of course, there will be no second Han Qian. There was only one table between the two of them. Han Qian threw a cigarette to Feng Lun, and Feng Lun shook his head. Quit it, save money and eat something good. You were right not to bring Suliang here, otherwise I wouldn't see you. Han Qian smiled. Have you been tortured by Suliang? When I was chatting with Lin Zongheng, I also said that it was very difficult for Suliang to deal with you. I didn't expect it to be so easy. Feng Lun frowned and said calmly. Come here and make fun of me. Han Qian pouted and shook his head. I don't have the interest or time. The two of us have been arguing for so long, and nursery rhyme cherishes talent and left you in Binhai, so that you are still alive now. Thank you, Teacher Tong, for me. After you say this, thank him yourself when you see him. I know you still have some secrets in your hand that you haven't revealed. This is your unique skill, and it is also what you rely on to make your life more nourishing in prison. Don't worry, I won't. I will dig deep into the secrets in your hands, but... Han Qian paused for a moment, and Feng Lun chuckled. But I have to be obedient, right? I don't have to listen to you, I have to listen to Teacher Tong. Han Qian pouted. You are very smart. I don't know why Tong Yao wants to keep you, but I won't stop her if she wants to. If there is anything you want to leave but haven't done yet, I can help you. Feng Lun smiled and shook his head. I've done everything I can in the past few years. I've left enough money for my family, enough for them to spend a lifetime. Maybe I can really help Tong Yao a little bit. As for what I won't tell you, this time Yao Everbright is behind this, so you can decide for yourself. In return, just don't let others bully my family. Han Qian chuckled. Don't worry, at least someone is still outside. I didn't let him come. He has changed his appearance and is now a stranger to you. But he can still do some things. Let's go. If you have anything, you can tell the prison guards here. He will contact me, and you can also tell Toad when you go out to work. He shouldn't be detained for too long. As for the others, I will try not to let you see them. Feng Lun nodded. Thanks. No, I'm a different person. I not only remember the good things of others, but also use scales to measure good and bad. Let's go. If I never come to see you, then I might just retire and go herd cattle. If you don't know anything about cows, you can ask me. Han Qian stood up and left. Cai Qinghu was slightly surprised after going out. So fast. Han Qian sighed. There's nothing to talk about. I'll keep the nursery rhymes. They're probably useful. Let's go. After leaving the prison and getting into the car, Cai Qinghu turned on the water, gave Han Qian a straw, drank some water, and said. Feng Lun said that Yao Guangda was also involved in this matter this time. I also know that it is not only Yao Guangda, but also someone from the Luo family in the capital. I will chat with you about this matter. I forgot, you remind me when it's time. Cai Qinghu nodded and started the car. Cai Qinghu passed by the Civil Affairs Bureau intentionally. Han Qian said with a smile. Just pick a more auspicious day and tell me. You don't have to remind me deliberately. I won't forget it. Cai King Hu, who had his thoughts exposed, blushed slightly and whispered. Either, or today. Han Qian smiled. Today is Saturday. I have something to do with it.